After nearly destroying their home by opening a mysterious box, two siblings summon a bizarre giant cat, and now they have to band together to get everything back to normal. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, The Cat in the Hat, from 2003. In a valley between the mountains, there is a beautiful town called Anvil. Here, the houses, stores and even the people are colorful, cheerful and a little strange. This is the town where a young, hardworking single mother called Joan lives. She works in a real estate agency owned by Mr. Humberflube, a man obsessed with hygiene. One morning, the boss calls everyone together to introduce the company's new employee. However, the employee tries to greet him without having washed his hands beforehand and is fired on the spot. After this incident, Mr. Humberflube warns his employees that the company's meeting to attract new clients will be held at Joan's house. However, he warns that if there is any dirt or mess in the house, she will also be fired. Hours later, in Joan's house, her children, Conrad and Sally, are playing in the living room until the boy has an idea. He goes into the kitchen, takes everything out of the cupboards and creates a protective suit out of food, cloths and dolls. After that, the boy climbs the stairs to the living room and prepares to surf down them with a tray. Despite his sister's warnings that this isn't a good idea, Conrad takes off down the stairs just as his mother arrives home. Luckily, she manages to dodge, while the boy flies out of the house and crashes straight into a car. Fortunately, Conrad isn't hurt, but he leaves a big mess around the house and his dog, Nevins, runs off down the street. The boy tries to explain himself, but his mother is furious because of the mess he's left behind, just on the day her boss is coming to the house. However, she soon calms down when her boyfriend, Larry, appears at the door. He brings Nevins back, which makes Joan and Sally very happy. However, Conrad doesn't like the guy at all and it seems his mother's boyfriend can't stand him either. To make matters worse, Larry tries to convince Joan to enroll Conrad in a military school. He says that the boy will learn manners and discipline, but the guy's real interest is that Conrad will be far away. Joan isn't sure she wants this for her son and before the conversation can continue, she takes a phone call. At this point, Conrad confronts Larry, but the man tells him that he's going to marry his mother and that, very soon, the boy will no longer be around. However, when he realizes that Joan has returned, Larry quickly pretends to be a kind man to the boy. He then says goodbye to everyone and leaves for a business meeting. Minutes later, a delivery man knocks on the door and drops off the snacks ordered for the party. But before Joan can organize everything, she gets a call from her boss, who asks her to get back to work. Worried about having to leave her children alone, she calls a nanny to look after them. After the woman arrives, Joan lays down the rules for her children, especially not to mess up the living room or they'll be grounded. Even so, Conrad remains rebellious and asks his mother if his punishment is to be taken to military school. Before she can explain, the boy says he'd rather have another mother, and Joan replies in the same way. They are both hurt by this conversation, but Joan has to get back to work. After she leaves, Larry, who was about to go to the meeting, rushes back to his house instead. Conrad sees everything through the window and finds Larry's attitude suspicious, but his nanny calls him over to watch TV. Seconds later, the old lady passes out from sleep, and the kids are left alone and unable to leave the house, as heavy rain begins to fall. Suddenly, the siblings hear a strange noise coming from the bedroom. The two go to investigate and Conrad is pulled inside, which frightens his sister, but it was only a prank by the boy. Just then, however, a huge talking cat appears in front of them, wearing a bow tie and a striped hat. The boys scream in terror and run out of the house. They get to a cupboard and hide there, only for the cat to magically appear right behind them. The siblings run back to their mother's room and get under the bed. Once again, the cat appears next to them, but before they can run away, he tries to calm them down. The feline introduces himself as the Cat in the Hat and says he's there to give the kids all the fun they want. Although he's a bit crazy, the cat proves to have great powers, being able to easily slide down the stairs with a tray. He goes down to the living room and finds the nanny, who is fast asleep. So that she doesn't get in the way of the fun, the cat hangs the old woman on a hanger and leaves her in the closet. He then tests the two siblings with a machine capable of measuring their behavior. Thanks to this machine, he discovers that Sally is obsessed with controlling everything, while Conrad is very disobedient. The cat decides to change that, but suddenly a fish in the aquarium starts talking and says that the kids shouldn't follow his advice. Despite this, the cat ignores the fish and gives a musical presentation on what fun is. Sally and Conrad are impressed and decide to learn from him how to have real fun. The cat accepts the proposal and then presents the kids with a binding contract, which they sign, despite the fish's warnings. With the papers signed, the cat's first idea is to jump on the sofa in the living room. Sally says that her mother has forbidden them to enter the living room, let alone touch her precious sofa. The cat insists that they need to have fun, but first he does a thorough check of the furniture to make sure it's in good condition. Once everything is in order, the cat starts jumping from one sofa to another in the living room, and Conrad decides to do the same. Sally is doubtful and the fish tries to convince her not to disobey her mother, but the cat catches him off guard and throws him straight into the toilet. Without him to get in the way of the fun, Sally also decides to join in and everyone starts jumping and making a mess on the sofa. However, seconds later, Larry appears and sees the siblings playing, except for the cat, which has mysteriously disappeared. Sally tries to cover it up, but the guy mocks the girl and goes on to fill his belly with food and drink from the house. Suddenly, Larry starts sneezing a lot. He suspects there are cats around, since he's allergic, and leaves, without noticing that the cat in the hat was right behind him. Without the guy to get in the way, the trio return to their day of fun. Sally says she likes making cupcakes, so the cat decides to do just that. Seconds later, the cat transports the two siblings to the audience of a television program. There, the animal and his assistant begin to make a recipe for dumplings, with every kind of ingredient imaginable. Once prepared, the creature takes the dumplings to the oven and waits for them to be ready. However, he and his assistant start arguing, and in a fit of rage, the cat cuts off his own tail with a knife. The program is interrupted for the cat to get a bandage, but before he knows it, a lot of smoke is coming out of the oven. Immediately afterwards, the oven explodes and spews mess everywhere. Fortunately, the cat uses his umbrella to stop the siblings from getting dirty, but the whole kitchen is a mess. Seeing this, Sally threatens the feline to clean the whole house before her mother arrives. He obeys, but instead of a cloth, the cat uses the boy's mother's new dress to clean the walls. Seeing this, the siblings are furious at the cat's antics. At the same time, the fish reappears and says that the cat will only bring more trouble. Even so, the feline promises that he will solve everything and brings a mysterious box from outside the house. Out of it come two bizarre creatures called Thing 1 and Thing 2. Even though these things have come out of the box, it continues to shake, which makes Conrad curious. The boy tries to open it, but the cat in the hat forbids him and puts a crab-shaped padlock on it. Afterwards, the cat asks Thing 1 and Thing 2 to tidy up the house. Instead, they spread the muffin mess everywhere, making the living room walls and sofa even dirtier. Seeing the two of them making a mess, Conrad runs to the cupboard and takes out two nets. He hands one to Sally and the two of them try to catch the things. The problem is that they are very skillful and manage to escape from the nets by jumping and pirouetting. And to make matters worse, they start destroying the whole house. The creatures tear down the curtains, break the furniture and cause total chaos. Even the babysitter falls victim to the creatures, who descend the stairs using the old lady as a surfboard. Meanwhile, Conrad gives up on capturing the things and goes to try to open the lock on the mysterious box. As he tries to open it, the lock comes to life and grabs hold of Nevin's collar, who tries to break free but can't. The mess continues around the house, but the cat gives the kids a tip. The things do exactly the opposite of what people tell them to do. Sally soon realizes that this is not very different from the way Conrad behaves, and the two of them try to use this information to their advantage. However, it's too late and the things throw Nevins out of the window. Luckily, the dog wasn't hurt, but he ran off down the street again. The siblings want to go after Nevins, but just then, the cat realizes that the mysterious box is missing its lock. Conrad says that he was the one who opened it and that the padlock got caught in the dog's collar. The feline then warns them that if they don't close the box as soon as possible, terrible things will happen. With no other choice, the siblings and the cat decide to bring Nevins back, along with the padlock. But first they need to leave something heavy on top of the box so it doesn't open, so they decide to use the babysitter as a weight. A few minutes later, inside Larry's house, it is revealed that the businessman's well-dressed manner is a sham. He's a paunchy crook who wears dentures, and all the furniture in his house is being taken away for non-payment. However, he sees from the window that Nevins has escaped, so he plans to tell Joan so that she can finally send Conrad to military school. Meanwhile, the siblings and the cat find the dog in the house next door. The feline tries to jump the low fence, but still can't, and the siblings help him over. Afterwards, the cat tries to convince Nevins to come back, but the dog gets scared and runs away again. The trio continue to look for Nevins in another house in the neighborhood, until suddenly several children come out to play in the garden. There, they play who will hit the doll hanging from the tree and win the sweets inside. However, they mistake the cat in the hat for the doll and start hitting him with a baseball bat. Finally, a strong boy appears and hits the cat in the weak spot with the bat, and it screams in pain. To save him, Conrad takes the sweets from the real party doll and throws them for the children to catch. At that moment, the cat tries to take revenge on the boy who hit him, but the siblings stop him and they go back to looking for Nevins. Meanwhile, Joan calls on the phone to find out if her children are alright. Just then, the nanny wakes up and says that everything is normal in the house, but in fact, she is being controlled by the things, as if she were a puppet. Unfortunately, when the nanny got up, the box opened and a purple goo came out of it, spreading throughout the house. Minutes later, the cat and the siblings finally find Nevins across the street, but Larry soon appears and takes the dog away in his car. They think all is lost and that their mother will punish them when she finds out what happened, but the cat has another plan. He brings his ultra-advanced car and the three of them go after Larry. In the middle of the road, the villain is driving normally, until Nevins does his business in the passenger seat. He becomes enraged and doesn't realize that Conrad, Sally and the cat are right on his tail. The two cars continue along the road until, in front of them, the traffic light turns red. Unfortunately, the cat in the hat is a terrible driver and crosses at the light, which narrowly avoids them crashing into the passing cars. Conrad scolds the cat, who in response hands the wheel over to the boy. To everyone's surprise, he knows how to drive very well and takes off at high speed. However, Sally also asks to drive and the cat creates steering wheels for everyone. As expected, the car loses control and goes off the rails towards the city. When they get there, the cat accidentally rips the brakes off the car, which continues to speed away. They try their best to stop, only to find that a truck is coming towards them. They manage to swerve, but hit a fountain and the car is totaled. The situation only gets worse when Larry arrives at the real estate agency to show Joan that the dog ran away because of Conrad. All seems lost, but the cat has another idea. He disguises himself as a hippie and then appears in front of Larry to ask him to fill in a petition. To get rid of the guy, Larry accepts and then the feline hands him a huge pen so he can sign it. While he's doing this, the cat grabs Nevins and runs away with the siblings. When he realizes he's been tricked, the villain runs after them. The cat then leads them through a secret door and they arrive at an underground party, where everyone is wearing top hats identical to the cat's. Moments later, Larry also appears at the party and continues to chase the group. When he sees him, the cat falls to the ground frightened and drops his top hat. He manages to retrieve it and then leads the two kids and the dog out of the party. Back on the city streets, the three manage to lose Larry and Conrad removes the padlock from Nevin's collar. The situation seems to be resolved, only for the cat to realize that the top hat he picked up at the party isn't his. Without her, he becomes an ordinary cat with no magical powers. What's worse, while they're on the run, Larry returns to the real estate agency and convinces Joan to come back with him to see the mess her children have made. Faced with this complicated situation, Conrad finally understands that all this happened because he was disobedient to his mother. Ironically, he also realizes that this time, doing everything the other way around could be the solution. Because of this, he asks things 1 and 2 not to help them get out of this problem and they do exactly the opposite. Suddenly, the pair appear in a convertible car and everyone sets off back home, unaware that the purple substance is spreading further and further around the house. The race to see who will get home first begins and Conrad asks Thing 1 and Thing 2 not to help them delay Larry and his mother's car. Obviously, they do the opposite and, on the way, the two disguise themselves as policemen and order Joan to stop the car. Thanks to this, the siblings and the cat set off to get home. However, Larry sees the two of them in the car, so he grabs the Thing's motorcycle and speeds off to catch up with them. The siblings arrive first, but Larry shows up soon after and pushes them into the house. To everyone's surprise, the place is completely tidy. Suddenly, Larry sneezes again as the cat in the hat appears behind him. The man is startled to see him, but as he tries to run away, he ends up in another reality and falls off a huge cliff. It is then revealed that the entire interior of the house was just an illusion created by the box, which opened a portal to the world of Top Hat Cat. With little time to sort everything out before their mother arrives, the three search for the box to get everything back to normal. After going down a ramp, the trio find the nanny, still in a deep sleep, and use her as a boat to go down a huge waterfall. The three manage to cross it at high speed and when they reach the end, they find the mysterious box. However, its opening has created a powerful tornado, which begins to destroy everything around it. Even so, the siblings rush to close it, only for Sally to be pulled in by the tornado. Conrad manages to hold her, but needs both hands to put the padlock on. He then lets go of his sister's hand, closes the box and when the tornado disappears, the boy manages to catch Sally before she falls to the ground. With the box closed, the siblings hoped that everything would work out. Instead, the house is completely destroyed from the inside out. What's more, Larry turns up alive, being poured down the house's drain. To make matters worse, the cat says that he doesn't want to help them with the mess and that he just wants to continue having fun with them. However, the kids are furious with him and tell him to leave, which hurts the feline, but he obeys their order. Afterwards, the siblings realize how much trouble they're in and how furious their mother will be when she sees the mess. Even so, Sally says that she will help her brother and that together they will take responsibility for their actions. Suddenly, the cat in the hat enters the house again, but this time with a full cleaning cart. He reveals that the siblings have obeyed the main clause of the contract they signed, because they have finally learned to work as a team, and as a result, the cat will help them keep the house clean. Thanks to this, the cat uses his cleaning machine and the whole house is rebuilt. With everything clean and tidy, the cat once again uses his behavior machine and notices that the siblings have become well-behaved children. Conrad and Sally are very happy and thank the cat for his help and for making the day so much fun. The cat then says goodbye, just as Joan is about to arrive. Seconds later, the boys prepare to receive their mother, and as she enters, she is proud that her sons have left the house spotless. Soon afterwards, Larry appears at the door, completely smeared with slime. The man tries to convince Joan that the boy has messed up the house, but she doesn't believe him and breaks up with him. Later that day, the party finally takes place and Mr. Humberflube congratulates Joan on her clean and well-kept house. In the end, everything works out for her and her children, who have fun jumping off the sofa in celebration. Afterwards, the cat in the hat says goodbye to everyone and leaves, happy with the feeling that his mission with that family has been accomplished. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.